Hey, what's up guys? It's Mike. In this video we're gonna tackle these two sketches. I'm gonna actually do number 7 because you guys voted for 7 and 9. So I'm gonna show you guys how to take this little thumbnail sketch and blow it up, and we're gonna add detail. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna place these major elements. So fireball guy, sword guy, and the two rocks. And so I'm gonna just go into time lapse and position them, and I want you guys to just notice how I just use simple shapes to place them. Alright, so check this out. Alright. So I hope you can see it. I drew kind of light. I'm trying to stay really loose just so the drawing doesn't get really tight. So I have this big shape here. It looks like a sort of a triangle shape for a fire guy. And the other guy is right here. This is a sword guy. And see, it's got this like angle. He's much smaller than this guy. And the two rocks that are going to be blown up by the fire bouncing off the sword is here and here, and what I tried to do is create an angle like this. Alright, so now that we have these elements placed, I'm going to work on the sword, the fireball guy, and just do a bit of time lapse and then talk about what I did. Alright, so back from time lapse, I sort of drew the head, so it's like a round shape. If you want to see the circle is about here, like that. I tried to get a tilt of the head like this, so this front of his face is a little tilted, and there's the corners for the chin and the neck. And this is his right shoulder. So I drew it pretty high, you know, cutting across his face like that. And the angled, sort of like his collarbone, top of his torso, angles down, and then a slight angle like this. This is kind of straight. This is definitely more thick than this. His waist, and this is bottom of his pelvis. So once we got that, I'll move on to the hands. Okay, so for the arms, what I did was I started at the shoulder here and made like a curve like this down to the elbow, and then drew the forearm. And then for this fist, I'm just blocking in this simple trapezoid shape overlapping his other shoulder right there. And then from sort of this hand, come swooping down a curve, another curve, wrist, and then this shape for his hand like that. I want to make sure that this arm is pointing towards the other guy. Also, check this out. This part is a lot wider than this part. That's because of perspective. So now move on to drawing his lower legs. Alright, so I have his legs blocked out. I started just below the waist, right here. And I have his right leg towards his knee. The knee is just, I'd say, towards the left of his wrist. And then down towards his ankles, this line is slightly angled like that. And do the back side of his leg. This measurement, because of the perspective that we're looking up, this part of his leg is going to be a lot shorter than this part. Just for that, a little bit of forced perspective. That's why his feet look really big. It's almost maybe twice as wide as his head. And this bottom part of his feet I have tilted like that. His other leg, you can kind of take it from this back, or his back, down to his knee, a little slightly curved line, and on the other side, inside, a line right here. This part is thicker than the area by the knee. And this measurement, the perspective works in such a way that this length and this length are more or less the same, and it kind of gets wider towards the ankle. And then I have his ankle raised just a little bit, make it a little different. Some key points here are the knees are going to be angled like this, so like that, but the ankles are like that, so they're opposite. Alright, so this is our fireball guy. He's all blocked out, and you can see that I've just used really simple shapes. You know, if I wanted to move them around, they're really easy to erase. You can reposition it. You can maybe alter the pose if you like, if you want to try something else. So what I'm going to do is sort of erase very gently these lines so I can still see it, like just so I can have a ghost of an image, and then I'm going to add all the detail on top of that. Okay. All right. So now I can still see the outlines that we drew before. That's going to be our guidelines, our foundation for this next step, which is going to be adding in a little detail. So I have the head shape still here. What I'm going to do is draw the front of his face, just a line. Let me zoom in. You guys can better see that. And I'm going to draw his ear like that. A curve, 2 lines. So it's going to be his ear. And his nose right there. We're down to his chin and the neck. Okay, I'm going to do a bit of costuming. So I'm going to add in collar. He's going to be wearing a jacket. And I'm going to work on his sleeve. Actually, I guess I should finish up his his head. So we got his ears. Behind the ear, I'm going to add in his hair. Kind of like that. And sort of just think of a hairstyle. Yeah, now I'll just do some time lapse and go into a little bit of detail on the jacket. Alright, so you can see for the arms, I mean, he's wearing sleeves, but it still looks, you know, not that much different than the lines I drew before. I have these lines here for the folds at the elbow, and I added a, what do you call this, cuff link for his wrists, and for his hands, you know, I just drew this line, knuckles, and then drew the fingers like that. And taking it from the inside of his collar right here, I can show you guys. I'm gonna try to draw this really flowing jacket. So follow it behind, S-curve, and somewhere around here is armpit. So another S-curve, kind of like that. All right, so I'm gonna continue on. Alright, the next thing that I did was I did the shirt. I got some folds on the back side right here. And this side is fairly smooth, but I've got these fold lines cutting across his body because there's a certain twist in his body that I wanted to capture. So just 2 lines across the middle and maybe 2 more on this side for that twist. I also added a belt. Okay, now I'm going to work on his fireball hand next. Alright, I started with the collar on the other side of his head, so just like it looks like a 7. Kablam! And again, this part of his sleeve is thicker than this part. Got a slight bump near his elbow, just to break up this line. This side is smooth though, and I got, again, the lines at his armpit, just because the folds are going to be there. We got his cufflinks again, and his hand. I'll show you guys how I did that. His hand started off with a shape like this. It's pretty much all there. All you have to do is add a finger like that, and maybe the middle finger on the other side. Okay, gonna move on to the legs next. Alright, so here are his legs. I started with sort of this part right below his belt on his far side, and then started at the top of his right leg just below that. Got a slight curve and like a corner on the knee. Then down to his ankle. This side is straight, and I wanted to make a contrast, so I got a bump, and this side has a lot more folds. Sort of thinking the blast of the fire is causing wind on his clothes, so there's going to be, you know, bumps on this side. On this side, so from his back, from his butt, you just follow it all the way down, this line all the way down to his knee. And again, same thing like this leg, the back side is going to have the bumps, so, you know, one small one here, bigger one, and then like a medium-sized one over his ankle, and curving up to his knee. Slight corner right here. And this connects behind his leg to that first line that I drew. For his shoes, I think you can see it. I just made up some generic looking shoes. This one is a lot bigger than this one. Try to get that. And I made this one kind of bent heels up just a little bit. All we gotta do to finish up this guy, draw the back side of his jacket. So Fireball guy is done. We can move on to drawing the sword guy. So you don't even have to worry about the fireball just yet. We're just going to draw the pose for this guy. He's kind of in the distance, so he's going to be smaller. But this should go by pretty quick, so I'll just talk you guys through it. So we're going to start off with circle for his head. And his eyeline is going to be slightly tilted down. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. Now for his body, check out this shape. So it's like a trapezoid, but it's curving this way. Below, this is his waist. Here's his pelvis, just sort of like a ball shape. And then all you gotta do, one leg. Just gonna adjust the ground so that his feet overlap it. Okay, so the easy way to position in his arms for me is I just sort of draw this circle right here. This is sort of the position of both of his hands. So I think right here is good. There's a little gap by his shoulder. And the first thing I'm going to do is draw this hand shape. That. And then from here, I'm going to draw the forearm, kind of overlapping his chin. This. See, it cuts across his body. And then this is his elbow. And then we just go right up to his shoulder. And you've just done some foreshortening. The wrist is thinner than the elbow. And yeah, then you just go to the shoulder with a big sort of semicircle like that. Now for the sword hand. So I'm going to draw. It's a rough shape for his sword holding hand. It's like a rectangle. This is the bottom of the hilt. Got the, I'm not sure what you call that part. Then this is the center part of the sword. I'm going to draw a triangle. Just drawing his hands. His forearm. Coming down at an angle from the wrist. And up to his shoulder. Right here. So just like the last guy, I'm just going to lightly erase over all this stuff. And then do a bit of time lapse. And add in some detail. Alright, sorry I forgot to kind of stop the time lapse and talk about what I was doing. This armor is really similar to the other fight scene I did with sort of that dragon scale armor. He's wearing pretty much just shoulder pads, arm, sort of gauntlets. He's got bandages around his waist. This is like leather pants with more armored his boots. So what I'm going to do is just adjust this arm because it's not pointing at the sword. So we've got our two guys all detailed up. Now we're going to add in the fire effects. So we've got one rock here, another rock here. The first thing I'm going to do is just draw the impact. So coming from his hand, I'm going to draw sort of like an S curve. It gets bigger. You know, this is just a rough, we're going to clean it up. And from here, I'm going to draw kind of curves that kind of fan out like that. You can see that. So I think it's cool if you don't make it all the same. So I've got this curve. Now this curve is going to go up and behind this one. Same thing with this one. It's going to go behind that one. So it looks kind of 3D. You guys see that? This one comes up like this. It goes behind the other one. Okay. So that's kind of the fire effects that I'm doing. The fire lines kind of just come back, kind of go out, you know, really loose. Kind of. Make parts come off the main one, you know, little embers. It's kind of the design that I'm going for. Okay, so what we want is two to hit the rocks. So one here, then another one, kind of like that. And then kind of looks like an octopus. This one. So this one I'm going to start thin and then get bigger because it's coming closer to us. And I'm just making this stuff up as I go. hits these rocks, and what we're gonna do is create a very big explosion. So let's work on this one. So I'm gonna draw some rocks that are still solid down to the water, and a lot of it is going to be broken off, just in pieces. Just trying to get it really random. Okay, it's one side. So I got the big shape here, and medium-sized shapes, and really small shapes. Okay, that's just a rock. On the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Start by maybe here. It's about a little lower than his foot, so just gonna break it up like that. This is, I don't know what that is. Shadow. Okay, again, let's get your medium-sized rocks. Some small ones up here too. Okay. Need some fire right here, so this is kind of the impact of the fire. This side. What the? Let me zoom out. This is getting crazy. Okay, so we got this looks good. This looks good. What we want to do now is overlap this guy. So we got these kinds of curves, and we're gonna want to curve it. It's almost like a ball. Like he's somehow created this aura around him. Okay, so see, there's like this ball shape, and these lines kind of follow the curve of this ball. That's what I'm kind of going for. Okay, so maybe one here. Then we need one that kind of crosses him, but we want to make sure that we see, his face. So that's the tricky part. We know that one will probably come this way. And probably, it's really difficult because I don't want to cover his face, but I don't want to cover his hand either. So I think we should have it come from maybe like that. Gonna have to do it. Okay. Okay, so I'm always kind of following curves. So it kind of curves like this. One goes this way. Another curve kind of comes around like that. Same with this one here too. So it has a nice flow to it. This is shadow. Okay. So what I want to do now is I'm thinking to add just more effects. So on the ground, I'm going to imagine that the impact of the blast is going to create a wake, like a big wave on the ground. So let's see. Zoom in. So, kind of follow this pattern. Okay. These jagged shapes, water, right? And do the same thing for the do the same thing for the other side. Right behind Fireball Guy's leg. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is, before I fix him, I'm gonna add some reflections. This will be something you guys remember from my waterfall video. Just sort of drawing in. Alright guys, that about does it for this video. I think I've taken it as far as I can go. I'm gonna spend some time working on this guy, kind of spice him up so it matches the energy on this side. And I think you guys got the idea of how to go about going from a simple sketch like this, just placing in your major elements, the positions of them, and getting the idea across that you want, and then translating that to a much bigger drawing and going step by step, you know, putting in your characters and then adding in detail slowly until you build it up to something that's to your liking. Okay, the next video I'm going to do is going to be this number 9. It's Fireball Guy again, causing problems for Sword Guy, this time a Phoenix bird on fire. This guy is going to be charging it, so I'm going to have to do some research. I'm probably going to have that for you guys. Well, Thanksgiving is this week, but it'll be sometime, you know, if not before the weekend, definitely by this weekend. So thanks again, guys, for all your support and your comments. I appreciate all the likes and sharing that you guys do. It helps me a lot. And have fun, and let me know how it goes, and I'll see you guys next time.